Hey, it's Drybear. Over the weekend, the First Descendant devs completed a very long 4-hour live stream going over Season 2, Season 3, the pacing and what's going into all of those updates and everything in between. So I'm going to give you a quick rundown with timestamps down below for everything that was caught on that live stream going forward. So to structure the video, let's talk about the roadmap that they gave and the general structure of the events. There's also a bunch of things that they said in one-off answers in the Q&A section and also during various other things that I'll just conglomerate into one concept, which is going to be the overall structure of what they're doing for the updates. This Thursday, December 5th, will be the Season 2 update. In that will be everything that you're seeing, most of the things that you're seeing here on the left side of the screen. So we're going to get the Ultimate Sharen, we're going to get the main story update, the Void Vessel activity. We'll talk about all this in just a moment. Ultimate Reactor enhancements, the target reward and high shape stabilizers, Keelan, the new Descendant, and some new events, in-game bonuses, unlocks, 2 new weapons, the Inversion Reinforcement for the season, the winter-themed skins, the Season 2 Battle Pass. All of this stuff is coming in with the update in this week. However, there will be some things being added in the later hotfix for December, closer to the holiday, and then there's also going to be a second half of Season 2 that will include other things. So what's in the other things category so you know not to expect them in the update this week? This is a big problem that they had with Season 1, is that a lot of people were expecting things like Ultimate Freyna, which wasn't meant to come out at the start, but what's in that package there? So the 30 tower hard mode challenge is not coming this week. That's the Void Erosion Control. That is the scaling difficulty 30 levels encounter, the special content that will not be in the launch of Season 2. Neither will the leaderboards that come with that as well. Ines Raya, who is the electric descendant that follows Keelan, will not be in the first update. And the reworks for any of the descendants, there are 3 descendants that are getting reworked. The existing descendants, Luna, Jaber, and Valby are on the list to be reworked. Those will not be in the initial rebalancing, even though they have mentioned it as part of that. It'll also be things like new modules, Weapon Core, which is the weapon module changing, and the second boss for the Void Abyss. However, the Void Abyss will launch with 1 boss. That's going to be the Infernal Walker, and that's part of that. And we'll talk about Void Abyss in just a second. And then there's going to be some events planned for February, Hot Spring, Valentine's Day, new events, but all of that is going to be towards the later part of Season 2. Then, very confusingly, they are naming the Season 3 update Next Update, which is a super strange decision to make, but this is where they're talked about some of the new Descendants. Serena, we'll talk about that in a second, a new Ultimate. There's also some new areas. Another big one is the normal to Ultimate Descendant growth transfer, party search system, some major things that they want. Jiggle physics is a big thing in the community as well. A lot of these things are coming in the Season 3 update, photo mode, all of that, but hopefully this gives you a structure for what we're about to talk about on what's coming this week on Thursday, what's coming in a hot fix later this month, what's coming in January, and then beyond. Let's start with Keelan, the new Descendant that will be unlocked. They didn't give us any major specifics on the unlock process, though it's very likely that he'll be unlocked through the Void Vessel dungeons that you'll have to do. They did give us his character screen as well as the skill descriptions for all of his skills, and they also did give us some feedback that the anonymous players had in the focus group testing that they had ran a week or 2 ago on the general vibe for Season 2. So his passive is the dot effect that stacks up on all targets. They made his Q ability basically what Haley's turret should have been. It's just a big spread attack that hits all targets in an area and applies his debuff, and all of his abilities, his dash, his AoE, and his Q, his first ability, are all built around applying acidic decay to all of the targets, acidic erosion to all of the targets around you. They also showed off his dash mechanic, and in some of the clips, the dash charges go up to 5, so you can dash quite a lot. And also they did mention that the feedback from the focus group testing was mostly just using his dash primarily. They said that his dash was sufficient to do everything, which I guess is where a lot of characters are. Like Freyna, you can pretty much just use her first ability for Contagion. For Bunny, you can pretty much just use her 3, though you want to have her toggleable on for faster movement speed. But they did say that the people that played it, though we don't know who these people are, and if they've played the game before, but they said that the dash mechanic, the onslaught, was kind of like the selling point for Keelan. Now, he also has another AoE. So he has the forward multi-projectile AoE, which is just an improved version of Haley's 1. He has the dash mechanic, and then he has a circular AoE Septic Gust. All of these can apply the stacks, and you can actually get some pretty high-octane gameplay just running around, dotting people, putting acid on them, stacking them up, and bursting them as well. Then they gave us the description for his ultimate, his fourth ability, which will cause the acidic decay stacks to erupt. So the more stacks they have when you use the ultimate, the more damage it does. And if they have no stacks, it just gives you more charges of your dash, which is super great. It means you have high mobility. They did say that the focus group testers felt like they never had to ult. Everything was dying to the dashing by itself, but we'll have to see once we get in. Again, without knowing who was there for the test, it's hard to qualify that kind of feedback. Now, they showed some pretty fast gameplay with some really big AoE, and I wish for this they would actually show what mods they were running. Like, is this max radius for him, or could it have been bigger? They also showed off this special resource that he has. He also has no mana, so kind of like Glay, but the bar is still there, which makes you wonder if there's going to be a red mod that brings his mana back and allows him to use it versus not. But going based on this, having 5 charges on your dash, and then if you use your ultimate and there's no one around with dots on them, you can refill your charges on your dash, means you could just very easily, with proper cooldown, just dash infinitely. And because it's a segmented dash, you'll just be able to go around corners and dash around. In general, it seems like he's going to be a very fast, AoE-focused, mobbing Descendant that's toxic. And I believe they did confirm as well that he's going to be the 2 ability types that Freyna is missing. So he's going to be, so while Freyna is dimension tech, Keelan is going to be singular fusion as a separation, which I think is a nice change for the category that only has 2 Descendants in it. Next up is the new dungeon system, the Void Vessel. This is the unique mechanic for Season 2 that you'll be completing as content. Keep in mind that the invasions that give 5 million gold a day from Season 1, they have confirmed will be continuing in Season 2, so you will be able to do your invasions every day while also being able to do these dungeons. And honestly, from what they've shown in the video, it's all really cool. It does kind of feel, I kept commenting how it looked like I was playing a Star Wars game, but it's very modern, very techy, very much like a big master giant ship, and you're moving between them. And they did mention a lot of mechanics around exploration, like there might be multiple routes to go. There are some traps that you have to find the disabling mechanism and turn them off. There's different kinds of enemies throughout the Void Vessels. There will also be alarm systems that if you trigger the alarm systems, more enemies will spawn, which could be a way to either make the Void Vessel clear faster by avoiding these, or give you more XP and farm by intentionally triggering the alarms and spawning more enemies. Now, there will be 2 modes for this. There will be a normal and hard mode. So you actually will be able to play the normal version of the Void Vessel even before completing the campaign. The normal version will be available as long as you're mastery rank 8 or higher. So probably towards the end of the normal campaign, you can jump on it, and you'll unlock the hard version of the Void Vessels once you complete the hard difficulty. So it'll be a more difficult version of that. It will be relatively long compared to some of the dungeons we're used to. I think this is the mega dungeon they were talking about. And at the very end of each of them will be a dread armor boss fight that will vary a little bit depending on what you're encountering throughout that Void Vessel. They also mentioned that on top of having laser traps and some turrets and things like that that you can disable, there will be mines on the ground throughout the process. And they also did say that after some focus group testing, they modified the mines so that they don't knock you back, which is great. And they also made it so the mines will explode and deal damage to enemies as well, which gives you another way to deal with the mobs that might be mobbing you and sloughing all over you as you're going through the dungeon. They showed off ultimate Sharen a little bit. It sounds like they're going to make it so her stealth can go through the laser traps very easily, just walk right through it. And they also showed off a little bit of the perma stealth that she's going to have with just infinite stealth that resets and has lower cooldown and has a lot more effects to it. And they also showed off her AoE module, her red mod for ultimate Sharen, that turns her ultimate, instead of that where you bring up her hands and she has a directional high noon kind of effect, instead it's just going to be a 360 degree around her doing a bunch of damage, and will have some effects with stealth as well. So overall, it seems like ultimate Sharen is going to be a really great option for mobbing on top of just using for outposts, which you don't even really need her for anymore is all, because they also are going to be moving the amorphous materials from being Outpost exclusive to also being available in other activities, which means you don't need her to do the Outpost if you really don't want to. There should be other ways through it. Now, another quick note on the Void Vessels is there will be these Void Shields as part of this. This is the mechanic that they didn't mention this directly, but the Void Shields showed up in some of the special operations they showed on screen, and it's these bubbles that appear that can only be damaged by either the Voltia beam rifle, which is the new weapon coming in with the Season 2 update, or by skills alone, and there will be options to play around that for both. Now, when it comes to buffs and reworks, they mentioned that there will be 5 Descendants that will be on the block for major buffs / reworks, and they only clarified during the Q&A section what this is actually going to entail. So I'm just going to give it to you all at once so you don't get confused. They mentioned 5 Descendants that they want to make stronger that are underperforming. That is Viessa, Sharen, Valby, Luna, and Jaber. However, they clarified later on at the end of the 4-hour segment that the 2 Descendants they're looking at to just buff, like make them stronger, is going to be Sharen and Viessa. So along with Ultimate Sharen, she will be getting buffs to make her stronger, and hopefully those will all affect her new playstyles and her old playstyles as well. On top of that, they're looking to buff Viessa, and both of these are planned to come out this week for the Thursday, December 5th update. So both Viessa and Sharen will be buffed there. However, the other 3, Valby, Luna, and Jaber, they said will be targeted for reworks, not just number buffs, but like mechanical reworks for how they function, and that will be planned for January. Now, the last time they mentioned the January update, they said it was going to be on January 16th. It may be around that time, but I'm guessing mid-January you can expect these reworks to be here. I think there's a lot of people that are either A, excited about the reworks for these Descendants, or B, worried about it, especially with characters like Valby that are very popular, and characters like Luna, which are a little more niche, but the people that love Luna a lot. I think most people are happy with a rework for Jaber, and that most of his mechanics just don't really work very well, so a rework for him is needed, but we'll have to see what they end up doing for Valby and for Luna, which might change the game quite a lot. Now, in this, they kind of vaguely mentioned that they will be updating both ultimate weapons that are being underutilized, as well as external components that are being underutilized, and in this, we're not getting a brand new Void Intercept boss battle. We will be getting hard mode versions of the existing bosses in the Void Abyss, which means that they're probably just going to focus on making the existing external component combinations, the ones that don't get used very much, a lot more powerful. It could be that they're adding more in, and maybe it comes from the Void Vessel experience, but in general, they will be buffing ultimate weapons and external components, but they didn't mention exactly which ones they're going to be targeting. And honestly, from what they showed about the Void Vessels, they do seem like a new kind of dungeon-style mechanic. The boss battles seem kind of interesting. There's even some sliding sections where you're avoiding lasers and moving around, and it seems like they're going to be a nice addition. And the fact that they're not removing any of the activities from Season 1 while also adding the Void Vessels, the Abyss mode, and all of that, I think is just going to be a net positive for the game overall. Moving on to the new companion system, the Fellows. This has been confirmed to be a single type of companion to launch with Season 2, and that is going to be the German Shepherd or the Sheepdog in-game. This one will be very specific in its function, but there will be some ways to change its fur pattern, to change its attachments. There will be a head attachment, a body attachment, and some other cosmetics, and you can paint these as well if you want to have it. Now, there was a couple questions around this that they didn't answer directly, like do these have collision that you can run into, but they did mention that the main focus for these specifically is going to be picking up loot and also auto-dismantling that loot, and it will function based on your loot filters. There will also be ways to deal with animations with them, you can interact with them, you can do little special emotes, and they also will level up as well. So you'll start with level 1 on your fellow, and as you loot these special food items that you'll get while playing, these food items you will give to your fellow and level them up, and they'll level between level 1 and level 30. And you can see on screen here, they will have 2 abilities, and these abilities will actually end up scaling with the level. So level 1, they'll be at the weakest value, and then at level 30, they will be at the highest value once you've fed them all of the consumable food that you can give them. The 2 abilities that they have for this specific fellow is 1, it will increase the chance that modules will drop for you. It seems like this will be a universal applicator towards all of the modules, so just increase the chance that a module drops in general, regardless of whatever rarity it is. And then there will also be the second passive is the radius at which they look to grab items. So it'll start at 30 meters at base, and that's when they detect items to pick up. And as you level them up to level 30, they will get to 60 meters on their detection action radius for things that are on the ground, and also increase the buff that they give you for dropped modules as well. Based on the footage they gave us, it will only pick up items that are actual lootable items that go in your inventory for you, which means they won't pick up consumables. I watched footage of them. They won't pick up health consumables, ammo, or any of that. They only pick up items that can go into either your module or your equipment for that specifically, and they will auto dismantle, and you will be able to turn the auto dismantle on and off when you're using your fellow. They also mentioned that they do long-term want to add in new kinds of fellows, and this has been asked quite a lot in most of the comments that I've seen overall. Will there be cats? Will there be aliens? Will there be snails? Will there be drones? That sort of thing. And they confirmed that what they would like to do for this is continue adding different kinds of fellows, and each of the fellows will do different things. So while the dogs will be the retrievers, they will go and get items for you and dismantle them for you. They said that maybe the cats will have some kind of offensive mechanic where they scratch the enemy, and maybe the drones have a healing mechanic where they heal you, and they'll continue to add fellows over time that will all do different things, and it'll become part of your build on which of the fellows that you bring along with you. Next is the new Void Abyss mode. So we have Void Intercept for the Colossus battles. The new mode that they're adding with the launch of Season 2 is going to be the Void Abyss. This will have one fight in it initially, which is the one you see on screen, the Infernal Walker. I know this is the fourth Walker type. We have Grave Walker, Swamp Walker, Frost Walker, and now Infernal Walker. I wish it was a different boss, but it is kind of nice to have this as an option. So the way they've described this fight and the way that it shows through the gameplay is that the Abyss, the Void Abyss, is meant as a challenge mode. It's not going to have very many it's not going to have any wipe mechanics. It won't have very many party mechanics at all. They said they don't want it to be like the Void Intercept, which is like something you overcome as a party, like being able to do the pylons for Molten Fortress, or do the bubbles for Gluttony, or get through the special towers that Deathstalker spawns. They want this to be a true test of, can you survive the attacks of the boss and deal enough damage to kill the boss before the time runs out? They also mentioned that this will have regenerating weak points, so the parts that you can break off and hang on, those will regenerate through the fight. It will be a 10-minute fight, but they want this to be more of a, do you have a strong enough build? And you can do this solo, you can queue for this by yourself, or you can queue for it in any group size that you want, and it's just going to be about dealing enough damage while avoiding the mechanics the boss has, not like coordinated party-focused mechanics that you have to do together. It's just about the combat itself. Now in the previous updates, this is where they showed off their Void Abyss exclusive skins, and it's very obvious that the left set of skins is going to come from Infernal Walker. So we will have one Void Abyss boss, the challenge version of Infernal Walker. By completing this, you will get the skin on the left that they had shown a little while ago, and that's going to be your Infernal Walker skin. Then they mentioned that a new Void Abyss boss will be launched in January, likely around January 16th, that will give you the skin on the right. And they mentioned that it will be titled Defiler and will be basically a challenge version of the Devourer fights, and likely will give you this purple and blue looking skin. So both these skins are gameplay skins you can unlock by completing the hard mode Void Abyss, as based on the bosses there. They didn't mention if the Void Abyss bosses will be available forever, like when Defiler comes out, will it be Defiler and Infernal Walker available together, and how long this will be. It's assumed that those will be together as available options, but this is the new Void Intercept version. And they also, I don't think, mentioned a single time that there will be a new Void Intercept with the launch of Season 2. This is the new Void Intercept, and it's not mechanical, it's just focused on doing the right amount of damage. They also reaffirmed all of the product policy updates that they have been talking about over the last month or so. Things like separating out the ultimate items inside the ultimate Descendant bundles. So the skin, the back attachment, the VFX, those sorts of things, they are going to be splitting those out and being sold separately. And they're also bringing back all of the ultimate Descendant bundles and the items in them. So the previous ones for like Viessa, Lepic, and Ajax, they're bringing those back as individual items for sale. They also are going to make the change to the skins that are shared across multiple Descendants. So like the onesies or the cadet skins, or really just like the onesies, and like the like Dead Bride and Colossus skins, the ones that can go on multiple characters but look the same. They're making a change in Season 2 this Thursday that those will be a one-time purchase and will be usable on all Descendants that can use it. Now there might be one that's like, I don't know, separate for genders, but I think they already itemized those anyways. So like the sexy nun skin and all of those are going to be a one-time purchase usable across all characters that can can use it. And they have confirmed that they will give you a full caliber refund if one of those skins gets changed in the upcoming update and you happen to buy multiple of them. So if you bought the Naughty Nun skin for 3 different characters, you will then have the Naughty Nun global universal skin for all characters that can use it, and then you'll get a refund for 2 of the purchase that you bought in excess of the original one. And they said that it's about $1 million worth of refunds for everyone that did buy multiple versions of those skins. It's quite a loss for them. It's very possible that they'll be refunding people that are done with the game and never coming back. So it's not like it's a true $1 million, but it is going to be a big outshelling of caliber for people that bought those skins in multiples. Next, they talk about the hard version of special operations. So this is not your infiltration operation. This is the special operations like block hyper mining or defense, your resource defense. So they're changing this in a couple ways. One is there going to be a hard version of this, and based on the footage, you can obviously tell that there will be void shields making their way into these harder versions. But what they want to do is they want to make these even more solidified as the weapon XP activity, but they will also drop code breakers, fine adjustment axes for modifying your weapon, quantum incubators related to the new fellow system, gold and shape stabilizers. And for normal version of the special operations, they said they were going to be removing the gold reward based on the segments. So if you've played special operations before, you know that there are wave-based checkpoints. When you hit the checkpoints, you have a chance to either get gold or an amorphous material based on that activity. They said they're removing the gold reward and it's always going to be amorphous material. And as you go along in the operation, getting those checkpoints, you will get a chance to get more and more of those amorphous materials. But now you won't have those runs on special operations where you get through all of the checkpoints. You do like 21 waves on them, and then at the end, all you got was gold. You didn't get a single one of the amorphous. They know there's other ways to get gold, so they're just going to allow you to get the amorphous materials from these special operations, which I think is a good change. Next, they showed off the target reward system that will be in-game, and they made it very clear exactly how this will work. This is basically your target farm system. They said they will have UI UX improvements that they got from feedback on the focus group testing. So they don't think this is the final version of the UI. They want to remove the nested layers like multiple menus. They're going to make it simpler in a hotfix later on in December. But this system will basically be, you will set a target reward that you're trying to farm, and as long as you leave it as a target reward and keep trying and trying, it will build up a pity meter that will go up to 100%. If you remove this as a target reward, it will reset the value. So when you go to your target rewards, you say, I'm trying to farm this, you mark something, you're gonna have to leave it as a target reward until you get it so that you have the pity meter kept up. And basically how this works is you will do whatever activity is listed on the target reward, whatever that activity is to get the item you're looking for. And every time you don't get that item by doing that activity, it will fill the pity meter until it gets to 100%, in which if you do it again, it will be guaranteed to drop for you, which is essentially a hard pity system. They also showed off the UI for the new advanced shape stabilizers. So we have the shape stabilizers now, which will give you a bit of a boost on the items that you're looking for. It's a small increase on the basic ones, and it will take a small amount off the top end and give it to the bottom end. And there are now advanced shape stabilizers that will basically swap the top end and the bottom end items. So you can see on the screenshot here, the 32% becomes 6% and the 6% becomes 32%. Personally, I would rather these just drop, like some of like the drops off to 0%. Even swapping them is still, I think, going to lead to bad experiences for some people, because you can use a high, an advanced shape stabilizer, and then you'll get the new, like the one that went to 6%, and you'll feel like you just wasted your advanced shape stabilizer. You got no value from it. But at least it is a stronger version of the base shape stabilizers that will affect that. They had mentioned in previous Q&As that they will make the base shape stabilizers, the ones we have now, more plentiful, so we'll be able to get those easier. Obviously, they increased the amount that you can carry to 100 a long time ago, so we can now hold a lot of them, and then they'll be monitoring how the advanced shape stabilizers affect the overall loot process in combination with the target reward pity system on getting exactly what you want out of items. This next one's crazy. So they're adding in random infiltration queues, so you'll be able to check the box at the bottom of the screen when you're queuing for one of the infiltration operations. conditions based on your difficulty. And what they confirmed the stream as well is that you will be able to select your reward from the reward on top. So say you're trying to queue for a specific dungeon, a specific infiltration operation to get a specific drop, you will be able to choose random dungeons, which will speed up the matchmaking time, which means it'll stay on the same difficulty, but choose a random dungeon for you to do. However, it won't change your selected reward at the end, which means that you can farm one dungeon and do different dungeons for variety to make it feel cool. So I think this is a great addition. This is something that people have been asking for since the beginning of the game, wanting to keep things fresh and just don't make me choose a dungeon, just give me something random. So it's even better that not only do we get the random dungeon, but you can also keep your selected reward at the end, allowing you to just have a nice time, just jump in a dungeon queue, do a random dungeon and get the loot you're looking for. They showed off the Inversion Reinforcement for Season 2, which is the exact same system as Season 1. They're replacing the Excava buff with the two new weapons, the Voltia and the Hammer and Anvil. And there's some new buffs in here that are generally better, though based on the ones that they showed with the highlight here, it's not going to make or break your build. It's going to get MP back, get HP back, make your season weapons better. I wouldn't say it's a major improvement over the system that's there, and you don't even have the option to change this with presets, so I'd say it's generally just kind of like a meh kind of system, but it does make your character stronger and more durable in a lot of ways, or more powerful in some ways as well, which can be really useful. So hopefully it's just kind of like an added feature that they're keeping in Season 2 to make your game better. And they did mention that if this goes over well and people really like Inversion Reinforcement, they'll consider allowing you to change the Inversion Reinforcement with presets in the future, but it may not, like, I don't know, I guess if it doesn't stick around for Season 3, then they may not allow that feature to go into the pipeline. But right now you're just gonna have the same system as we had in Season 1, but the buffs will be different. You'll also see at the bottom here the two new weapons they're adding, the Voltia and the Hammer and Anvil. Hammer and Anvil being the new shotgun, and then Voltia being basically Bunny's default ultimate, the big beam, and it will have a chain lightning effect that will deal damage. And the seasonal bonus for the Voltia is that it deals damage to the skill damage only void shields that you'll run into on the seasonal enemies throughout Season 2, so it has that kind of bonus there. They also reminded people that along with the Voltia and the Hammer and Anvil, they will be adding in new weapon modules and ultimate modules, so yellow quality modules for basically Descendants and weapons to kind of make the game a little bit more diverse, and hopefully it just continues to get more and more interesting for theory crafting with those. They mentioned that the reactors will go to an enhancement level of 5, and they also reiterated that of course they're going to be changing the system so that the reactors themselves will be weapon type rather than specific weapon, and you'll be able to implant this through the implant system so that you can get your buff active easier. And they kind of just rapid fired some random one-off things that they didn't have any footage for, things like they're making Hanged Man, the Void Intercept Battle, soloable, which means you can queue into it solo. I think it's going to make it easier for normal mode where you can just kind of clear it. Also, if you have a bunch of amorphs laying around to do Hanged Man, you can just go solo it really quick if you have an endgame build. They also said that they're going to add an auto setting for people that play a Descendant for the first time. It'll just recommend modules for you, just like you can do with weapons. Next, they're adding a new login event that will range from the launch of the update this Thursday to January 8th. At the end of the day there. And this one is actually quite generous, but there's a lot of confusing things about the way they described it, so I'm gonna do my best to summarize it. This is a daily login event. All you have to do is log in every day. It's an attendance event. Just log into the game, claim your attendance, and continue. They mentioned this will not be a web event. It'll be built into the game as well. So all you have to do is make sure you collect your login. It doesn't seem like it's automatic. You actually have to open up the event and click the login, but once you're in game and you get it, you have it set for the day. And this has a bunch of really sweet benefits. Every day you log in, you'll get a special currency as part of the event, these tokens that you will get, and you'll be able to spend them inside of the event store, which will have a really good list of things. Energy activators, crystallization catalysts, blueprints, pieces for Descendants, boosts of all kinds, gold, Kuiper. You can use these currency items for whatever you want inside the store, and that will be part of it. Next, as part of the event as well, there will also be 1 guaranteed energy activator, 2 guaranteed crystallization catalysts, some cosmetic items as part of the event, and a normal Descendant ticket that you can use for, they said, any of the normal Descendants, so that if you, and you should be able to get it just if you make a new account like now or on December 5th, and you get a couple days into the event, you should get the normal Descendant ticket. And what they described is they wanted people that are new to the game to be able to play through the campaign with characters other than the starting 3 Descendants, Ajax, Viessa, and Lepic, which is pretty cool. The next part is the super confusing part, which is the part that you see on screen. screen. So there will be a 14-day login bonus. Once you've logged in a total of 14 days in the event, you will unlock the premium reward that is part of this Winter Festival check-in event to put it all together. However, the way it's set up, at least in my opinion, is kind of unfortunate. So the days do not need to be consecutive. You can just need to log in for 14 days total, so you can miss days, come back, log in again, and of course you have the, 5 weeks or 4.5 weeks to finish it all the way. At the end of those 14 days, you will be given a choice to choose either Ultimate Bunny as a free unlock for you, or you will get 2 skins for Sharen. So this is the Maid skin and the Cadet skin. These 2 skins will be in the store when the patch launches, so you'll be able to gain access to those or buy those for real money, or you can just get them for free by already having Ultimate Bunny or just deciding not to take her and instead get the 2 free Sharen skins, which looks like they come with the hair pieces as well. This is kind of weird for me because I think it incentivizes players to just farm Ultimate Bunny and choose the skins to get more value, considering the fact that you can get Ultimate Bunny for free by playing the game. You cannot get the Cadet Sharen and the Maid Sharen for free by playing the game. So I think the choice is obvious in my mind. After 14 days, you just take the Sharen skins and you farm Ultimate Bunny, but there might be people out there that don't have Ultimate Bunny, or maybe they just made a new account and they want to unlock Ultimate Bunny by logging in for 14 non-consecutive days to finish the event. But that would be my recommendation. Never take the Ultimate Bunny, just get the free skins unless you absolutely hate Sharen and you don't care about it. And if you have Ultimate Bunny already, you'll just get 2 free premium skins for Sharen as part of this event, which overall I think is going to be good for the game. They also mentioned that there will be a year-end event, an extra web event that's separate from the Winter Festival, plus some other login and bonus events as well. And they said that they're going to be ramping up events in general for December and January to feel like there's a lot more to gain by logging in for the game. And they also will be including a lot more gameplay items like more crystallization catalysts, more energy activators, gold boost, that sort of thing. So we can expect more than what we're seeing right now in the game that's live. So that brings us very neatly back to the roadmap that they showed. This is going to be everything that's showing up inside of the December update. The things that aren't listed here is there will be the buffs to Viessa and Sharen, and all of that will be listed in here, plus some UI improvements for the target reward system and just everything kind of putting that down together as well, plus the events. Next is going to be the update in January. This will include Ines Raya, the other Descendant that we saw pictured in the Season 2 art, reworks for Valby, Jaber, and Luna, new skins, and of course the Void Erosion Control 30-stage build-up, like the difficulty tower climbing mechanic with the leaderboard, the weapon core unleash, and of course the Void Abyss Defiler, the new boss being added to the Void Abyss, which also includes that extra skin. And then they obviously had more skins planned for the rest of Season 2. So that's all of Season 2 split into those 2 major updates, and they did mention a little bit going into Season 3. While they didn't show us any of this specifically, they talked about the new Descendant Serena being a fire Descendant that is female and is actually not a Descendant, but instead is an ancestor. They talked about her being one of the ancestors. There were questions on how she's still alive. Is she an old woman? You know, what's going on? They confirmed she's not a grandma. She's not a vampire in their own words. She is a ancestor that's also a Descendant. We'll see what goes on there. And a new Ultimate Descendant, which they didn't confirm, plus a whole bunch of new stuff coming in, outpost reworks, skin updates, new modules, Void Abyss boss, 50 stages on the Void Erosion Control, new areas like a new map region, new events, new Inversion Reinforcement 2.0 or 3.0, plus growth, transferring normal Descendant progress to Ultimate Descendants, as well as a whole bunch of other like weapons and contents, things like that. Then we can just add a rapid fire for the Q&A. They confirmed that Jiggle Physics is coming in Season 3, as well as obviously the photo mode system. So all of that's coming in Season 3. Mouse and keyboard support for console, they said, will be a hotfix in December, not initially launching, but they have, they're closing in on work on it, and that one will be shipping as well. They do confirm that there will be no official support for Steam Deck, but if you can get it to work on Steam Deck, more power to you. They will be increasing the crafting slots from 5 to 7 as maximum, and potentially adding in new crafting stations that can work in tandem. A couple things they're considering for long term, but not are on their radar for right now, are trading, player trading, clans and guilds, as well as the wrong element stat showing up on a reactor. So say a fire element bonus on a chill reactor. All of those things are being considered for long term, but are not actively being worked on or considered right now. They confirmed that Ines is going to be an AoE damage mobber that is inspired by the the anime Gantz, which I definitely called in my first update. Serena will be a weapon descendant like Glay or like Haley that will be able to fly and is confirmed to be an ancestor, not typically a descendant. There will be new weapon types for season 3, so not just handguns, machine guns, submachine guns, that sort of thing. There will be a new weapon type in season 3, and they will be doing new types of paints at some point in season 2. And that's it for the season 2 release, and going forward on all of this, hopefully this is easier to understand than their 4-hour update, and then that's going to be it. So let me know what you're excited for going into season 2 for the First Descendant. If you found value in today's video, leave a like down below, leave a comment for the algorithm to help this video get seen by more people, and don't forget to check out my other channels for other content and other stuff and other things.